happy to be here, and Derek, I want to thank you for inviting me and Courage Campaign to be part of this, and I want to salute all of you and thank you, because this is a hard state to do this work, and I'm grateful to all of you. Some of you who haven't seen me recently may notice that my hair is a different color. You know, I'm 56, and I joined the movement almost 40 years ago, and I won't claim that age necessarily brings wisdom, but it certainly brings a lot of memories. And I hope that all of us understand that where we're at today is extraordinary. And the last 2 years in particular have been absolutely amazing. And I have never, in almost 40 full years now of activism on LGBT issues, I've never seen anything like what we've seen in the last 2 years. And the energy that was unleashed in the streets after the Prop 8 election in California has been sustained, and it has grown. And those of you who have been around for a while, you know, you see there's been these blips, these surges, and then everything sort of falls apart and dissipates. But that has not happened. There's new energy. The young people are extraordinary. And to me, one of the most exciting developments is this Prop 8 case. And a lot of people didn't want it to go forward, but we decided to go ahead. I'm on the advisory board of the American Foundation for Equal Rights. And you know, as a board member, I got to be there. I got to be in the courtroom, and I got to hear the testimony from our brilliant witnesses. And I got to witness this as they demolished every single hateful lie that has been used against us generation after generation after generation. They didn't just prove that Prop 8 was unconstitutional, but they demolished all of the hateful old myths and cruel lies that have hounded us for so long and destroyed the lives of so many of our people. And the cameras were barred from the courtroom, which was so frustrating for those of us who were there, because we knew if the American people could just see what we're seeing now and hear what we're hearing now, they would get it, and we would all be able to move forward. But you know, as compelling as that testimony was, there was very important testimony that was not heard by those justices. And it's important that we think about this, because I think it's become increasingly clear over the past 2 years that ultimately the decision about our status in this country is going to be determined by the United States Supreme Court. Now, I'm a protest guy. I love the marches and the riots. And, oh, sorry, not riots, just kidding. But what's going to get in the heads of Supreme Court justices? How do we work strategically now to reach the hearts and minds of this small group of people who are going to make this decision? And really, when you think about it, we're talking about one justice who will tip the balance. So I think that so many of the strategies that I've enjoyed so much over the years probably aren't going to be effective. And I had the opportunity to spend some time talking with Theodore C. Olson, who, in my mind, was Satan after the Florida recount. I never thought I would say these words, but I have come to love Ted Olson. He is a good man, and his support for us on this issue is solid, and it's part of who he is. And he reminds me of some of my great uncles who were Republicans and were conservative, and their ideology did not include hatred of any type of human being at all. So Ted Olson is an amazing guy, and I said to him, what works? What's going to reach the Supreme Court justices when they have to decide this and the other cases? And he said, you know, we've got to show that the sweep of history is on our side, and these justices can cast their vote knowing they're moving the country forward, or they can cast their votes knowing they're going to be that last you know, Governor Wallace type standing in the door saying, no, you can't go to school here. And he suggested that maybe one of the ways to do that was to show that support all across the country in local newspaper editorials and in local activism. So, as compelling as that testimony was, there was something that was missing, and that was your testimony, my testimony, all of the people across this country, gay and straight alike, who in their own lives have witnessed the destructive cruelty of discrimination based on homophobia, who have themselves seen the harassment, the discrimination, and the violence that occurs as a result. So we want to collect that testimony and present it to the court, to the president, and to the Congress. I think I'm going to live long enough to see real equality for LGBT people in my life, and to me it's very clear that real equality is by definition determined by the federal government. I am sick and tired of the endless ping-pong game with our rights. I'm sick and tired of statewide referenda costing tens of millions of dollars, and even when we win, every victory we have achieved is incomplete and impermanent. Incomplete because we remain second-class citizens until the federal government acts, and impermanent because we've seen how easily our victories are overturned by a voting public that is terrified by the world around it, confused, and falling apart. Now, I will be very grateful when I see that day come, and LGBT people are truly equal under the law in all matters governed by civil law in all 50 states. But when I joined this movement, I understood clearly that it wasn't just about us, and I think it's very important at this particular time in our history to remember where this movement comes from. When I joined this, it was called gay liberation. And I believe that any movement that seeks only to advance the interests of its own members is a shallow movement that will accomplish little. So I'm proud to work with the Courage Campaign. We're fighting for equality, and we see that struggle for gay equality in the larger context of the global struggle for peace and social justice. And I am even more proud to be a member of Unite Here International Union. We're the culinary in Las Vegas. We're local 2 in San Francisco. We're local 5. We're local. I want to tell you one story, and then I will shut up. But I think that this story really gets to the core of what I believe matters the most at this point in our history. I got sent to Toronto about 5-6 years ago. The International AIDS Conference was going to be convening in Toronto. Every hotel in that enormous city was booked for months in advance. And then I learned that the hotel workers in Toronto had scheduled a strike vote for the week before the International AIDS Conference was about to begin. And scientists and researchers, activists, plus 7,000 people like me living with HIV were going to be coming to this conference from all across the world. I know what it's like to cross continents and oceans to go to one of these conferences when you're not feeling well. And my worst case scenario was, oh my God, all these people are going to arrive. There's going to be no other hotel rooms, and they're going to be forced to cross a union picket line to go into their hotel room. And they're going to be pissed off, and everybody's going to be confused, and it's going to be a bad situation. And I went to our president, John Wilhelms, the president, the international president of Unite Here. I said, John, you can't strike the International AIDS Conference. He said, why not? Why not? I said, because it's important. We're all trying to fight back against this disease. You can't disrupt the conference. He said, well, from our workers' perspective, what better time to strike? What better time? When would they have more leverage? When every hotel room in the whole city's booked and there's no possibility of changing the venue. Now, in reality, John Wilhelm could have picked up the phone and called Toronto. Paul Clifford runs our union up there and just said, Paul, you can't strike that week. But he didn't do that. He said, it's up to our members. We're a democratic union. You don't want to strike during the International AIDS Conference, you go up there. So I went to Toronto. I ended up spending almost 3 months up there, and I show up and I met our workers there. And most of them are Christian and Muslim. And I show up, hi, I'm your happy homosexual. We're going to make this run fabulous. And they're like, what the? You know? And some of these people wouldn't even shake my hand. And for 3 months, I organized meetings, and I brought young LGBT people in to meet the housekeepers and the parking valets, the waiters and the busboys. And this process went on and on and on. And then 1 week before the International AIDS Conference, the workers